Hi Deirdre.
Hi Alex.
Can you just tell me a little bit about who you are? Just introduce yourself for people that are watching.
Okay, well my name is Deirdre Maguire and I'm from Newcastle in County Down in Northern Ireland. I currently work as a FasterEFT master practitioner, but it wasn't always like that. I help a lot of people nowadays, but the reason that I'm so good at helping people is because I first had to help myself. And it's about 15 or 16 years ago now that I first discovered the world of personal development. Typically, if you had met me then, you would have thought that I had everything together, because on the outside I looked like I had it all. I had third level education, I had enough money, I travelled the world, but on the inside I was actually running on empty. So my life was becoming more and more unmanageable, and I ended up going into 12-step recovery through Al-Anon, and I found myself for the first time in my life with like-minded people. So I was able to somehow deal with some of the emotions that were going on in my life. So that helped me tremendously. It was like a coming home. There was a huge relief, and I was very, very committed and very dedicated to my 12-step family, as I would have called them. Being in the company of like-minded people opened up other avenues, and I discovered a man called John Bradshaw, who had written a book called Healing the Shame That Binds Us, and that was pivotal in my journey towards my own healing. So that was another part of the journey. So with all this wonderful information, I thought I really would like to help other people. I think other people should know about it. So I actually started doing a course on counselling. So I did an introduction to counselling course, and by the end of that I found that this was absolutely not for me. The idea of sitting listening to people telling sad stories was too much. At this point in my life, my father had actually committed suicide, so I had a lot of pain in my life, and I actually thought, I've had enough. I don't want to listen to anyone else's. So that wasn't working for me, but I still knew that I wanted to find something. So I then actually joined the Samaritans, and I did the training. Again, there was nothing, only suicide in it, and I just thought it's more and more sad stories. It just wasn't the answer for me. I joined a dating club and went to a workshop. And I think there are a lot of people like me in the world who enjoy going to workshops. Today I choose to call them seekers, people who are looking for answers, and I commend them on it. But at that time anyway, that's what I did. And I went to this workshop belonging to the dating club, and at the workshop there was a girl who was a life coach. And I said to her, "What do you do? What's a life coach?" And she said, "I help people set goals." And the hairs went up in the back of my neck. I thought, this is what I want to do, because I was tired of looking back. I wanted to look forward. So that's what I did. I set about finding out how to do a life coaching course. This girl actually became my life coach, and I in turn got a life coach qualification. So at this point I was still working in the family business as a furniture retailer, and dabbling in life coaching. And then my brother worked alongside me in partnership, and I was quite good at helping him relieve stress and pain using the skills and techniques that I had, using the NLP techniques that I had acquired. I'd also done a course in that. So but then one day I said to him, "You know, I really think that you could do with professional help. It would help you better if you went to someone who was doing this full time." So that's what he did, and the person that he went to happened to be an EFT tapper, and my brother experienced some great changes with EFT. So he went onto the internet to find more about it, and he found Robert Smith, faster EFT. And then he really started to get changes. And he actually got in touch with Robert Smith and organised a session for my nephew. Then he was 7 years of age. And there was a lot of drama around it. It was very emotional, but they had a great session over the phone. Robert was in America, and they did the whole thing over the phone and had great changes with Matthew. So here I was being the life coach, and my brother was learning more about it than me. So he said to me, I think you should go and have a look at this guy. So I went on and found him on the YouTube. And then I remembered that I had actually seen this guy before. I remember I was interested in NLP, and I had Googled NLP, and up came Robert Smith. And I actually was quite intrigued by this, what I would have termed then the hick from the sticks. He was quirky, he was quaint. And I remember thinking, imagine away over there in the sticks that those people know about NLP as well. Imagine. However, my brother said that he would love to go and see Robert Smith, and if only he could go to America. And I remember the day that he came into the shop and said to me, you're never going to believe this, Robert Smith's coming to England. And I said, all right, well, maybe we could get sorted and get organised and you could go and see him. And about a week later, he came in and said, you're not going to believe this, Robert Smith is coming to Ireland. And I said, well, definitely we'll have to get it sorted. So that's actually what happened. I was working in the family business. My brother and his wife and 2 children headed off down to Cork to see Robert Smith. And it was an interesting experience for me, because there was a part of me that knew right at that point that here I was taking care of everybody else, that I was letting them go while I stayed at home and looked after the business. And that was actually metaphorical for my whole life, actually. So anyway, it is interesting what happened, because they were down there and they phoned me and they told me about the great changes that they had experienced watching Robert Smith and having sessions with him. I decided that I wanted to know more about it. So I actually went to the EFT tapper that Paul had originally been with, and I had a session with her. And then I decided that it was time to grab the bull by the horns and actually phone Robert Smith himself and see if I could have a session. So I remember the day that I phoned, and I felt really silly because Ken and Rosita's daughter answered the phone. This child, an 8-year-old child, answered the phone, and I felt so silly asking if I could speak to this man. So anyway, he came on the phone, and I remember what he said to me. He said that we could meet up, and I said, no, you're too far away. Cork is too far away. I couldn't get to you, because he was leaving that day to fly out of the country. And he said to me, well, why don't I come up and see you? And I thought, well, and then I remember him saying, I can get rid of your demons. And that was the line that I thought, okay, I'll do something. I've made things happen before, and I'll make things happen again.
So could you tell me a little bit more about what those demons were? What was your life story before you found FasterEFT? What was happening for you?
Well, before FasterEFT, as I described, I looked like I had it all on the outside. But on the inside, it wasn't. It was what I would call a scary neighbourhood. Inside my head was a dangerous place to be. My best coping skills then were drinking, smoking, overdoing everything, over shopping, overeating, overdoing everything, basically out of control. But it was normal. It didn't feel abnormal, because coming from the background that I came from, all these coping skills were the normal ones. I'm very aware today that there is actually a pandemic of alcoholism and suicide in our society, and it's all based on these unmanageable coping skills. So I was no different than anybody else. I was married at the time, or I was married for a while. I wasn't married at the time that I... So those were my best coping skills. I mean, you know, my life was manageable on a certain level. On one level it was. I looked like it was okay, but on another level it wasn't.
What were some of the behaviours that you look back and remember now? Things that you would do or experiences you went through that were really difficult?
Well, my day-to-day living was... Well, I mean, it was manageable. My life was okay. It wasn't... just trying to think.
Yeah, I'm just obviously cut this bit, but yeah, this is it's interesting because when I was doing this, it's kind of you kind of step through this the kind of the quick story, but when you try and step into kind of more detail, it can be
okay. Well, I mean, well, basically, I was functioning on a certain level. I was a teacher. I had a job, but on another level, it wasn't working. I was married. I wasn't happy. The plan of my life, the shape of my life was that I worked all week at my teaching, and then on Friday evening I got drunk, went out to the pub with the crowd, had a hangover on Saturday, got up, maybe went and played golf, played hockey with a hangover, struggled through the day, and then did it all over again on Saturday night. And then Sunday was lying in bed, lying on the couch watching TV with a hangover. That was pretty much the shape of my life. So I'm on the phone call with Robert. I'm supposed to be in work, thinking that I shouldn't be here. I'm up at my house having this phone call with this man I've never met, and he's about to leave the country, and he says to me, I can get rid of your demons. And at that point I thought, okay. So he asked me to see how I could sort out for him to get there, the local travel agency, and I asked if I could sort out for him to be able to go to Greece from County Down, and the girl said, no, there are no flights. And I thought, that's it, don't have to do it, off the hook. And then it was actually the persistence of that. But I mean, synchronicities are all set in place anyway, aren't they? But it was the persistence of the travel agent. She phoned me back and she said, you know, you could fly from Belfast to London and then London to Greece. And I went, oh, okay. And she gave me a price and I figured it out and I made the decision. Okay, I'll do this. Because what I was thinking was I could bring Robert Smith up and I could have my session, but I could also help other people. And that's exactly what I did. I phoned him back, I told him I could pick him up, it could all happen. I phoned round my friends. At this point I was doing some life coaching work, and so people were starting to know that this was what I was passionate about, this was what I was into, because basically at that point I would talk to anybody who would listen to me, telling them about these different skills. So that's what I did. I invited my friends. We set up a seminar. I contacted the local hotel. I borrowed 40 chairs. We have a furniture shop, so my brother helped me take the suite of furniture out of my living room. I put the 40 chairs in the room. I asked people to come along. I charged them £5 and I made almost the price of the flight for Robert to go to Greece. I bought the training set off him, and we had the seminar, and I set up sessions. The following day all my family were tapped on and I sat in, which was incredible, because even at that very, very early stage, on that first day, some part of me knew let it go, let it go, Let it all go. It's okay to let it go. And it's safe to let it go. And as I let it go, my whole world changes. Peace. Yeah. Even at the very first time, there was a part of me knew that what my family were sharing was just their story. That it wasn't who they were. And that started an amazing journey, which, as I say, has culminated in me sitting here today, having had a wonderful session earlier on with lots of tears and lots of healing. Yeah, I've actually been, in the last few weeks, I've actually been diagnosed with cancer. And who could ever believe that I could be sitting here with a diagnosis like that, excited about life, looking forward, can't wait to do more, be more, have more, share more. Just how could that ever be? Well, it is because for the first time in my life, I really am in charge. It's my life. It's my mind. I have been given this amazing gift, the gift of life. So how can I be any other way? Only ecstatic and happy and excited. It's just too cool. It really, really is. Thank you, FasterEFT.
Okay, so you bought the training set and the DVDs, and you started this journey. So tell me more about this 3-year journey.
Okay, so that was actually in September in 2009, I believe. And so that winter, I spent watching the DVDs. I have to say that initially, I watched the DVDs because I was so eager to learn. I've been a learner all my life. I've studied, and as I say, I used to go to workshops. I'm a teacher by trade. I have an honours degree in education, so I was a studier. So what I found myself doing when I got the DVDs first was actually studying them, watching how he was doing it. I did not tap on my own stuff. I wanted to help other people, and the person I wasn't helping at that stage initially was myself. So that actually prolonged my journey a bit, because I had to hit my own bottom, my own rock bottom. So what I did was, in that winter I watched the DVDs. There was a training coming up in Oklahoma in February, and I was excited. That combined the two things. It meant that I could travel, and I could meet the people who were on the videos, and actually begin to belong to the FasterEFT community. And that's exactly what did happen. It was a great experience. Again, I still wasn't tapping that much on myself. I was still trying to study it, figure out how it worked. What I believe now in retrospect is that I was very, very sophisticated in staying out of my own pain. Of course, I was telling other people about it, but I wasn't actually doing the work myself. So on the other aspect of my life, it actually began to get more difficult, because I wanted to do this work more than anything. But in order to do that, in order to make my living at it, I had to change my personal circumstances. So at that stage, I was still working in the family business, and there was an economic downturn. And life, instead of getting easier, actually got a lot harder. Again, in retrospect, that was exactly what I needed, because when I was on my knees emotionally, there was nowhere else to go, only here. And that's what I did. I actually started tapping. And I have memories, and I've shared this on other videos. I actually have a memory of the point in time where we'd actually set it up. I had a friend helping me, and we'd set it up where I could work for 2 days a week at this coaching, at this FasterEFT stuff, and the other days that I would be working in the family business. And it took a long time to get to that point, and I was so excited about it. And on the very first day where it was all going to happen, I had an emotional hangover, just like one of the worst alcohol hangovers I ever had. I'll never forget it. I came down the stairs. This was the day I was supposed to start it all, and I couldn't do anything. Nothing. And the only thing I could do was sit and tap, and that's what I did. And I can remember sitting and looking at the carpet in my living room, just tapping over and over and over again. And it was releasing years and years of pain and sadness. I can remember it all. I can remember, you know, the whole thing, or this thing just leaving me. And that was one of the times when I finally realised that tapping really, really did work. That FasterEFT could work for me. That was so, so important. So that obviously enhanced my belief system. So then it started to get better. I used the skill. Now, my life was still very, very difficult, very, very challenging. Like I say, we were in the middle of the economic downturn. I thought I was going to walk off into the sunset and be a FasterEFT practitioner and help save the world. That's not the way it happened. I had to actually do both. I had to do my FasterEFT in the evening, and I had to 100% focus on the family business. So it just seemed like the opposite was happening. But I had the coping skills now of persistence, due diligence, and I stuck at it. I just kept at it and at it, and I just knew that I could get there if I kept doing it. I had been given this amazing skill. It's the belief system of FasterEFT. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just excellently producing what you know how to produce. I mean, it was the closest thing to God I'd ever heard of that worked for me, that really worked for me. Because there's nothing wrong with you. It's unconditional. But you just have to get into it and keep doing it over and over and over again. Because I had 50 years of living the other way. But there was that part of me right inside me, and that's what I see in people today. When I'm working with people now, that's what I say to them. I can see the diamond that you are. And that's what I see in my clients. They can't see it, but I know it's there. So keep at it, keep doing it, and life will get better. But it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not a quick fix. It's not an easy thing. It takes persistence. You've got to be committed to it. You can't just buy the course and put it on the shelf with all the other books that you have. You've got to do the work. You've got to do the grunt work. But what I say to people, I can guarantee you, I can promise you that it will be worth it. If you do it, you will get the changes. But you've got to do it. And that's a good thing, that if you do it, it does work. So many other things I had tried, I had done them, but they hadn't worked. And what works for FasterEFT is that you have it on tap. You have a skill. All you need are your 2 fingers. And you don't even need your 2 fingers, because it's all in your mind. And when you realise this and you take control of your own life, up until then other people were controlling me. And I wanted to be a good girl. That's what I'd been trained to be. I'm a good Irish Catholic girl. I'll be the best I can be. I'll be a good girl and I'll do what I'm told. But it didn't work. So in this way, I take control. I am in charge. It also makes, you have to take responsibility. So if you're ready to do that, you really can have what you want. You can have anything you want. Here am I sitting today. And can you believe it that I am sitting here having, as I say, this diagnosis with cancer. And you know where the cancer is? The cancer is in my mind. The cancerous thoughts that I think about myself. That's where the cancer is. that I'm not good enough, that I don't deserve it. And it is leaving daily. Thank you, cancer, for showing up in my life. Because I know now that I am singularly more powerful than I've ever been in my life. And it always starts with me. And when I can do this, then all I have to do is be in the world, and it will unfold naturally. I've nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just be who I was born to be, and it will all just fall into place.
Could you just tell me a bit more about the seminars you've been to, the actual the training courses, and your experience of being there?
Okay, so I was actually thinking about this the other day. When, you know, typically a university degree is 3 years, and I've just completed 3 years with FasterEFT. I was passionate. I couldn't get enough of it, and I bought my set in September, went to Oklahoma in February. Then I think Robert came to Ireland. In that year I travelled 3 or 4 times doing various courses. The second year then I went on to Australia, and I went back to America. I went to California. So I've done multiple courses. The truth about it is that on a certain level, that's the beauty of FasterEFT, it's very simple. And on another level, it's very rich. So on one level you can get it immediately, because all you have to do is start tapping. You can start using it immediately. And if you know, I wanted to be a practitioner, so if you just wanted to use it to help yourself, then you just take it and go, that's it. But I wanted to go deeper with it, because I wanted to build my life around it. I'm very passionate about taking this to other people. So I've done lots of courses, and the dynamic of being in with other like-minded people is very, very powerful.
Yeah, so what's your experience of the seminars, how they work and how Robert presents them?
Well, they're great crack, as we say in Ireland. They're great crack, which means that they're good fun. They're a very enjoyable experience. Robert's a very dynamic person. He's very entertaining. He keeps your interest. This is very rich stuff, and it takes a lot of turning round, because we're heavily entrenched in our belief system. So it takes a lot to get it turned round, but he can do it in a very clever way, very funny way, very entertaining way, and yet he can get in there and install the new beliefs. He's a very clever man. It's great fun travelling all over the world, and the very powerful part of FasterEFT is the community, the support from like-minded people. All those years ago when I started in 12-step recovery, the thing that helped me was that there was other like-minded people supporting me, because that's what we need, because people like us have been ashamed. We keep it hidden. We're not allowed to talk about it. So that's what 12-step recovery gave me, and that's equally what FasterEFT gave me. It gave me a community where I could be with like-minded people. As I say, currently dealing with cancer, I can't imagine how I would ever have gotten to this point without the support of my FasterEFT community.
So how do you see the future of FasterEFT and your own future as well?
Well, actually, they're pretty much joined together, because I feel very, very excited about being a part of the next steps that FasterEFT. At the minute, I just see FasterEFT just getting bigger and expanding more, and it's very, very exciting. And the most exciting part of it for me is that I'm a part of it, that I'm going to help bring it to the next level. It's such an incredible skill, because of its simplicity and because of its belief system. Anyone can learn it. It can address anything. And I know in my heart that it's all just about to take off.
Thanks so much, Deirdre. That was wonderful.
Not at all. Thank you very much indeed, Alex.